Joined now by Geno Auriemma. He and the UConn women in the Final Four for the 12th consecutive year. Friday night in Tampa, they take on Notre Dame late at night. And Geno, I'm having coaches on like Chris Beard, Texas Tech, it's his first. Bruce Pearl, it's his first. And you've explained to me through the years that each one is different because it's for this group of women, this new group. Do you remember your first and what it felt like? What was the first one like?
The first one was in 1991, which seems like a different century, and which actually it was. And what ended up happening was, I think we were the only team that thought that we could go to the Final Four. So when we got there, when we won that day in Philadelphia at the Palestra, the emotions and the excitement and the jubilation in that locker room is probably unlike anything I've ever felt, except for the 1995 National Championship locker room after we won. Because there was a bunch of kids who, when they came to Connecticut, it wasn't about going to the Final Four. It was let's be a good team. And now the kids that are here, it's all about, if we don't get to the Final Four, it's a bad season.
And that's where I wanted to follow. The weight that your program carries is unique, really. You're everyone's biggest game. You get everyone's best shot, and you have forever. What is the burden of that, Geno?
You know, I tell people that it's like, you know, back in the day, you know, it's like playing for the Montreal Canadiens, or, you know, playing for the Celtics during their, you know, Red Auerbach, or playing for the New York Yankees. You know, when you put that uniform on, the expectations are unrealistic. But at the same time, they're very real. And for our kids, the burden is, I have to be great just to match the other people that have played here, not to be better than them. So I always try to make it more about, listen, don't try to compare yourself to those players. Let's not compare our team to their team. Let's just see if we can find a way to do the same thing they did, but in a different way, our way, your way. And that's how I try to keep it personal.
Because you lost a couple, because you weren't ranked #1 all year, because you weren't a 1 seed, it seemed like maybe you're able to exist a little bit away from that bullseye, and yet from the inside looking out, I wonder if me saying that it sounds silly to you. Because, I mean, it's not like anyone overlooked you. I just wonder what was different about this year, Geno, if anything.
Well, what was different is this was the first year that there were probably no ties to the streaks of any kind of streak. You know, no 115 wins, no 4 national championships, no, you know, any streak. There was just a group of kids who were coming off 2 losses, heartbreaking losses in the Final Four. And for them, it was, this is a new chapter in Connecticut basketball. This group is a new group, and it's got no ties to the previous group. And that made it unique for them. What made it difficult was they all had to do things for the very first time. They all had to be in position to do something that they never had to do in previous years. So we had our struggles. We had our ups and downs. And we got smacked pretty good a couple times. But through it all, I think we came out of it better. And like you said, we went as a #2 seed. Really, who cares? You know, 2, 1, who cares? You know? I don't think anybody, when we were playing Louisville, goes, you know what, I think if it'd be a real shocker if Connecticut wins tonight. So, you know, it's not like we always have the opportunity, ever almost, to feel like, hey, let's go in with a little chip on our shoulder. We almost never do.
But you did mention those Final Four heartbreaks back-to-back years. Why, Geno, in sports, why does misery last so much longer than euphoria?
Well, you know, euphoria, that comes and embraces you, and it fills you, and it, like, lifts you up. Misery leaves a scar, and it's there a long time. Sometimes it never goes away.
Let me follow that with that exact thought, because here's a quote from you about last year's Notre Dame game. I was pissed at the end of last year's game That's not going away. Now you get to play the same team in the same spot. How do you take that residual scar and that anger and use it as fuel for your benefit?
Well, I wish we had the exact same team plus a couple of the new guys that we have.
I bet.
I'd feel a lot better. Yeah. But you know, you really can't take that too far, Scott. I mean, you played. You know, all that stuff may last the first 5 minutes. Maybe it lasts the first quarter. After that, this year's team's got to play against this year's Notre Dame team. And what happened last year, that's not going to have any bearing, you know, those last 30 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm. And I get that. But yet for you, I mean, and you and Muffet McGraw, I mean, look, when two great programs want to fight over the same piece of turf, so to speak, sometimes you get it, sometimes they get it. I mean, I have to think that you carry with you a healthy level of respect, but also I really want to beat that person. Does that become constructive or destructive?
Well, I think it's both. I think it's constructive if you do it for the right reason.
Okay.
You know, like I want to beat them. Why? Well, because I want our team to win a championship. That's a positive thing. I want to beat them. Why? I don't like them. That's stupid. You know, I have the utmost respect for their team, their program, Muffet, their coaching staff. And guess what? If we hadn't won 11 of these things, I might go, you know what? That crap ain't never happened again, man. We are never going to lose to those suckers ever again. But you know what? I guess I'm getting old. Other people are allowed to win once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, we've won our share, more than anybody's won. So other people are allowed to win. That's how I felt about Mississippi State. That's how I felt a little bit like Notre Dame last year.
Well, a little bit.
They're allowed to win once in a while.
A little bit.
Once in a while. You know what I said, Scott? Once in a while.
Note to self.
Not twice, not 2 years in a row. Once in a while.
Noted. All right, I want to close with one last thing. It's something I talked about on my show. It had to do with Tom Izzo and the way an exchange with a player turned into a big deal. And you referenced it. You know, coaches are afraid of players. Maybe you are getting old. Maybe I'm old. How do you take what has worked so well for you and make it work in a modern age with a modern player?
Well, in a modern age with a modern player, I think the same things are needed. The same things. Players are still 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. That hasn't changed. They still need the same things that they needed 20 years ago. How they get it, obviously, is going to be different. Mm-hmm. But you can't change what you're going to give them. And you can't turn it all over to them in a sense of, hey, how do you guys want to do this? Well, then what do they need us for? We're there to show them how to do it. And how we show them defines who we are. And for me, it's all about having a personal relationship with every one of my players and my team so that they know exactly where I'm coming from. So when I'm like really going after that pass you threw, it's that pass I'm attacking, not you. When I'm going after that missed block out, that's what I'm going after. And you know what I tell them? You should be more disappointed than me that you missed that block out.
And because
of that,
you
never make it personal.
And because of that, do you still have relationships with 91, 95, and every year in between? I bet you do, don't you?
Well, our last national championship game, we took a picture. There were 32 of my former players sitting in front of us at the stage. And you know what? Some of them came from Europe to watch the game. So if we were doing it the wrong way, none of those players would have been there, period.
Bingo. One of my favorite people to talk to every year, Geno. I appreciate it. These are great radio segments, man. It's never all going to make the TV part of it, but we'll throw it up on YouTube. People should watch and listen because I always feel like I learned something when I visit with you. Thanks for the time and good luck in Tampa, all right?
You know something, Scott? Whenever they ask me to do something for you, it doesn't matter where I am, doesn't matter what time, I'm going to make the time because it's never nonsense. It's never trivial. It's really, really good stuff, dude, and I really like it.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, buddy.